Yeah.
Hi, I'm Stephen Mack. Hi, nice to meet you. You live in this area? 4 years, yeah. You look like a veteran.
We spent 20 years in the Washington DC area and then 17 years in Fort Myers, Florida.
Oh,
Came back, Crop Town, my husband. Here, the brother is here, so all the family is here for the last 3 years of their life. So,
well, I'm probably one of the 2 people that we in Winneshiek County who has lived in DeSoto County. Not far away from Fort Myers.
yeah. What city?
Well, my wife is a nurse, and we lived for about, we owned 5 acres in a house for about 6 months in Arcadia. And
Good tips first. That's why I said that.
so we didn't move very far. We moved from Coral System. And we were here now.
Yes.
There you
Morning, Steve. Good morning. Morning, Dan.
We're the last of the fake spring today and tomorrow.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
all coming.
It's coming back.
Then it changes.
It's supposed to be 0 by this weekend.
Yeah. All over. I know, it's that's from 40, it's supposed to be like 43 or 46.
Well, Dan. Yeah, that was a great game though. I had a rough day on Saturday. I whacked myself. Oh, no.
Okay, what happened?
A brake caliper came loose and
Ouch. Well, I actually have eyesight.
I had my arm up in like this holding the extension. And the impact here and the bolt came out and caliper flew off on the hose and I seen it coming, but there was nowhere I could go.
You're lucky you didn't take the teeth out.
I thought you'd say you should see the other guy.
I guess I should listen to my wife.
Almost 2,400.
Oh, you're lucky. It's your-
There's about.
You're around. I can.
You take that off.
Well, because the situation that we're in was, you have. You know, we lived as a border. On the edge of the grassy border.
Yeah.
And rural.
And so I think we were at 773.
600 yards. From the
I just can't afford it.
big screen, of course, this place.
Still that fix. We get rid of that amp, we can save a couple grand. So I.
It's not signed this. It's like.
Yeah, my sister.
So I would let you know.
Yeah.
Just checking.
I used it. And I like to put it up in the state. There's almost.
We're looking at switches.
All
They're
of
looking at
them.
switches.
Well, there's 22.
Truly a privilege.
Got some present for us, everybody?
Two contractors, so they're two guys. Sent to the bill, they're public information. How are you? Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah.
We don't. Yeah, there's not like, we just kind of sat back here. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
I'm gonna grab an agenda and make copies.
You can make a copy of this for homeless.
Thank you. I'm really a Vermonter, but 25 years of Florida, you almost become.
We always did good.
We have Amazon.
I'll go through that.
Dan.
I was thinking.
Thank you. What is fresh off?
You know what? You have to remember, we played Malcolm in fresh.
I was gonna.
Stuff you couldn't see.
And so I'm fully used to that of the, like, right up.
It is a really good cheesecake down there after that. And also,
You know, I don't want to live in
like my aunt.
I have lots of friends.
Chocolate peanut swirl.
Oh,
That almost tastes like a nut.
Used to die for it.
Yum. Isn't the nut goodie the one that has a maple cream in the middle? And chocolate on top of it. It's a kind of a Northwoods, Minnesota candy bar.
She was in the city all over like.
Interesting.
We got Michael. Michael and Michael, man.
Well, vacation. There's a lot of history that I can't remember from home. That's why Kate helped me out.
Moving out of the corner.
It's memory you don't have.
Well,
You know?
you get all the work,
Right.
so. It's,
My one was.
that's
Nah.
under my direction, so.
Since
I don't know the answer to that. I don't have the inventory that I looked at ever on that. Yeah, anytime we put lights and things on. Oh, anything that helps.
Somebody said.
Yeah.
Somebody, yeah, somebody said that.
That's big. Things are old state. Might have been, I don't even know. Yeah, only about that one or not.
Well, it's just lights and, yeah.
like, you know where,
That,
you know, the
that-
door is loud.
like at least 11.
This is next to mine.
Social security call.
Door. That's Brian's. Yeah.
This stuff's good.
Yeah.
6 weeks to get this one.
I tried doing that
Nice.
one.
I'm glad they got it.
Yeah, we
Good job, Greg.
Number party got one of them.
And you do like that. But don't give them some.
You're done. Right. Same spot. I'm calling you on that. They didn't call the meeting. So, let you know when you call.
Take out the publication. 800.
Oh my God.
Did you get one story?
No. What do you think of them?
He's in part of the vacation.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, it's 9:30. All those that so choose, please stand and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you have the option. First item on the agenda this morning is the public hearing for the vacation of right of way on 361st Street.
I move to open the public hearing.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is unanimously. Is there anyone here with any?
Young gentleman right here in the front row.
Yes, my name's Stephen Meck. I'm actually the person whose property is solely involved with the proposed vacation.
Okay.
If you want to know anything about me or our situation.
So I guess I can kind of give some history as to how this came to be. My first couple of weeks on the job, I was the crew was going around looking for right-of-way obstructions in our right-of-way, and Mr. Mack, his enterprise with the sculptures and things, had material that was in the right-of-way. I sent him a letter. He asked me to come up. I looked at the situation, moving sculptures and odds and things that were in the right of way. Was problematic in the sense that they were at a dead end, and after talking to the person who plowed the snow, there was no real issue with the moving the snow as it was, and I felt that hindering the enterprise from operating, I'll call it normally, is not in anyone's best interest. Typically, I don't like just giving away right of way for no reason. An agreement where we could perhaps do some kind of land swap didn't really end up working out, but I didn't want to force a situation where things things that have been in the right of way for a long time, that have been used that way continuously for 40, 50 years. We have documented evidence showing that the garage was constructed in the 1970s. The board would like to see that. We have aerials from the 50s, 60s, and 70s showing the garage being put in. The garage is actually in our right of way. Just the corner of it is. So the question then is how much do we give in right of way? And just looking at different types of right of way and DOT standards for the area, 50 foot is an appropriate right of way. It's a common right of way width throughout the county and other spots. Again, this is a dead end, so the neighbors would be the only one really affected. It wouldn't be a through traffic issue. And working with Steve, I felt it was in mutual interest to get this resolved and make it a benefit for the county. So that's the gist of why we're here. Specifics as to what's in there and other things, I'm going to have to let Steve speak to that, but that's why we're here. And I would say a recommendation to move forward with this vacation.
Will owners or nobody else will be affected. He's the only one in his property.
Correct. His is the only frontage that this affects. The landowner to the northwest does have an interest in this. We currently plow snow towards a detention pond there. As in this discussions with that person, his name's Don Ward. We'll be continuing to push snow there, so it should not affect anything in those regards. And yeah, I think this, while there might be some contentions about other things, this is not from the county's perspective, this is in the interest of the county.
Sure. Yeah. How much total land?
It's a 66 foot length by 16 foot width. So
It's a little strip.
it's just a little strip. We have the documents if you'd like to look at them.
Not that long though.
Oh, excuse me, it's 132 feet.
The end result of the width of the right of way is what? The final right of way after this
Will be 50
would
foot
be
right of
50,
way, and it's be on the northern portion of that.
which corresponds with much of the same throughout the county.
I would say there's just some areas.
Some areas.
Just my work with Twin Springs, there's some 50 foot right of ways. There's over in Happy Hollow, I think there was some 50 foot right of way at some time. It just
We have no plans to develop it requiring additional right of way.
the future development on this, it'll likely stay a dead end because the DOT will most likely never allow connection into Highway 52. If this were to continue on, it would run right into Highway 52.
Okay, is there anyone else with any questions or comments on 361st Street?
The only thing I wanted to mention for your edification is that our activity there, my wife and I own two 19th century, late 19th century wood frame houses across the road from each other, each having their own yards. And we've owned those houses for between 15 and 25 years. We bought them each at different times. I'm an artist. I make a large welded steel outdoor sculpture. And I've been doing that for 25 years. Our yards are entirely populated with my sculpture, as are 3 grain bins of varying sizes. Small sculpture and medium and large. We are a 501c3 IRS approved nonprofit foundation. And our whole focus is to create a art resource for Winneshiek County and specifically the community of Berland, which will now have 2 museums instead of 1.
Okay.
One of your sculptures over in the Wayside Park.
Yes, across from,
Oh, wow.
that was put in this summer.
Yeah.
This last
Very
summer.
nice.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'm going to close public hearing.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
I'd move to approve the vacation of the right of way on 361st Street.
Second.
We have a motion and second for the vacation of right of way on 361st Street. Is a resolution.
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
I also passes unanimously. Next up, we have a public hearing for the vacation of right of way on Locust Road.
I'd move to open the public hearing.
I'll second that. We have a motion and second to open the public hearing for the vacation right away on Locust Road. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Anyone here with any questions or comments on the Locust Road vacation?
Here it is here, represent.
Property was recently acquired by me and added to the full boundary of my property. Just looking over all the details that have happened since the road was divided, the farm was divided, the road was created, things had changed. You're wondering why you would even want right away pulling out from the bridge and not use the road that's already there. Those guys have more on it. They've done more detail research.
All right, so this care came to Mike and I. The situation was, if I remember,
Thank
Your
you.
book is someplace in the audience.
she came to us, there was a zoning issue where, she could not build a shed on the property that she owned at that time. Question was, as she mentioned, what was the use for the county? At one time, the county was looking at that area to develop a stream bank or stream bed mitigation credits. The issue there is the Army Corps of Engineers doesn't like to have localized projects such as that go on. That being said, we do look to do some of those things ourselves, such as Bridge 126. But when you look at the area that was used, the issue there is we wouldn't use all of the land that we have at right of way to, in the interest of the public, making a good use of the property. It has been my stance with Steve and others in the past that the county doesn't need to own right of way that it doesn't use. And we have left the map that we have here leaves right of way still able to develop that. We have access to that developable land. Still, we maintain that. But at the same time, we're vacating the higher ground so that it can be used by private landowners and just develop the property to increase value within the county. So in my mind, that is a benefit to our taxpayers, generally speaking. And that was the reason we went through with this. It's 1,000 area being vacated containing 1,129 acres. Or I was gonna say that's not right.
You're getting a lot of land.
Yeah.
Pretty good deal.
That's what it is. 1.129. 1.129 acres. Okay, it's a decimal, not a
When I looked at the map for this, it looked like it's not someplace that we would, like in the future, be looking for bike trail development or anything like that. So it looks like a pretty simple issue.
Yeah, there's there's no bike trail discussions that I'm aware of in that area. So the other thing it could be possibly used for is a canoe access. Again, you would have access that way along Old Locust Road.
This came into being because Locust Road used to make a really sharp turn, and then when they redid it
Yes.
20, 30 years ago, whatever, they straightened it out, and then we ended up with lots of extra land.
And the land, the line there is just an old property line that was set. So there's no rhyme or reason other than standard county surveying lines that line was drawn up the way it was prior to what it is we're doing. So that's the background on this.
Is there anyone else with any questions, comments? Anyone online?
I'd move to close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimous.
I'd move the vacation of the right of way on Locust Road. Approve that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the vacation right away on Locust Road. Is there any further discussion? Barring none, it is a resolution.
Aye.
Shirley?
I,
Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Aye also, passes unanimously.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike.
thank you for being
Next
here.
item on the agenda, you can keep
Thanks,
going,
Mike.
Mike.
All right, I have all kinds of resolutions today. It's just. You will have 307. Yeah, I have this is my reports. And I have something else to report that came in my office, just here to. All right. All right, since the last meeting, as I discussed last week, we are no longer a finalist for the 2025 build grant. However, the grant committee suggests that we move forward with the 2026 grant application, effectively the same application. The board kind of tentatively agreed last week, if I remember correctly, to move forward with that application. I need a 28E agreement signed regarding that by the county auditor and the chair. And then also we have an agreement for Kimley Horn, a consultant, who is the grant, the Iowa County Grant Committee's referred consultant who will be packaging this in collaboration with the grants committee. They're going to be doing the economic analysis and everything else, so we have to have that signed by the county officials here as well. So if I can push that to these documents to Ben and to Dan.
Motion on either,
Well,
in one motion,
right.
I'd move to approve the 2080 agreement and the consultant agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 28E cooperative agreement and contract for the Kimley Horn. Is there any further discussion? None, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. Anything else for us?
All right, I'll go next on the list, railroad flat car bridge study coordination, nothing new this week. Subdivision data gathered, nothing new this week. On Thursday, I submitted a county bridge construction grant funding for Bridge 53. It is not likely that we will see that the way we score 66 points out of 120. And talking to the DOT, they have at least 2 applications over 70, and they're looking at 2 bridges, probably 2 bridges this year. So not real hopeful on that, but it was submitted on Thursday. And now Bridge 307, I have a resolution, and I'm fine with doing the resolution going forward. I think that it is now not required for me to get a resolution for signing these agreements. I think that was something that got brought up November or December, that it is no longer required for me to do this, but I would prefer to just have the resolution just so that keep the board involved for anything done in Winneshiek County. So, and this is the one that came in at about 14% over budget, 1.4 million. We had it estimated at 1.25 million roughly.
Where did it not match your estimate?
The structural concrete was high and the mobilization was high. Mobilization, that's a wild card, but the structural concrete, in reviewing other locations recently in the Northeast Iowa area, that structural concrete number is consistent with what other counties have been paying. So, and I did talk to the DOT, forgetting his name, the gentleman's name, and he's saying that this is this is actually a good price for what we're doing. The Northeast Iowa, in talking with Nikki with the DOT, she was saying that she did some further discussion that the Northeast Iowa bridges haven't gone down as much as the rest of the state because we are still building quite a few in the area. So that's kind of a good thing, but it just didn't help our price here a little bit. So that's kind of the background on the discussions I've had in the background. So
Anyone want to take action on resolution for Bridge 307?
Motion to approve the resolution for the Bridge 207.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the resolution for Bridge 307.
Aye.
Billy?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
Steve? Aye. So passes unanimously.
okay, so pass the bend. I just wanted to mention that some of the crew, the trucks, one of the trucks was sent out on Saturday morning after that small snow event. And then this week county surveyor myself attended the SLSI Surveyors Conference. When rules don't apply was a topic, and spent all day in Ames. That was his professional development, and it was very enlightening to see all the property issues that surveyors and because the county engineer has historically been a county engineer and a county surveyor, it was interesting to see how, this small thing makes the small situation makes the situation unique. And we have a lot of that, a lot of the stuff ties in with the Twin Springs Road and other projects that we have that kind of just get grandfathered in. So it was good. It was a good educational experience for me. And Quarry Hill, we're still working on that. I touched base last week about the budget amendment. I'll work with Ben, whenever Ben needs me to finalize everything, I'll have that ready to go for you. Still, like I mentioned last week, we're about $1.4 million as our end of year balance. So looking to hold that as best we can. Earlier or in the week, I think I emailed everybody saying that we were ready to buy a truck. By the time I send on that, it had already been purchased by somebody else. So that email was, at the time, it was for naught, but evidently the same dealer has another almost identical truck that they're willing to give us a price of $133,000, which is roughly what they had agreed to before. I wanted to pass that on to the board to kind of look at that. If you wanted to have a look-see to the semi, what it is we would be getting, and the mileage is for our purposes is low.
It's not blue.
It's not blue. I don't know that we, I don't think we're gonna spend money to paint it. But it is very clean, and the hours was one of the things that held us back from a different purchase. The hours on this are very acceptable for the shop foreman.
They're taking about 10,000 off the price.
They're taking about 10,000 off the price. Yeah, 133, I think. What,
It's no tilt option.
what's that?
There's no tilt option.
I honestly, I just got that. So you're reading as much as I put into it. I got that probably at 9:20. So
When he's recommending go forward with this.
he has not told me that, but this, if it's like the last one, he would. So he has not told me this one. Like I said, I just received that. I just wanted to show you that that's what it is we were looking at before. And I guess get the blessing to move forward if we want to go, if main shop wants to go forward with this. It's, if I remember right, superintendent told me that it's in Tennessee, so they have a dealership in Des Moines or Waterloo that they would probably be driving it up to them to go pick it up. So.
And so this will handle that new trailer in any equipment that we
Yeah, I
have.
mean, the current one we have has so much, call it custom fabrication, on it that, and it needs to go find a new home. So this shouldn't have any of that for my tenure. Superintendent says for the rest of my tenure, we shouldn't have to buy another one. So I get this one.
Will they take a trade, or we would sell it at blue?
We would probably just put on auction the existing one. So we've had recent success there, and I think that's the way I'd like to go. That loader that we had sold for 21,000, so that was nice. That was very good, very good price for us.
Do we want a motion to proceed with the eventual purchase of this, or?
I don't think you need a motion.
You don't need a motion, but
But if you want to, you can.
or you could just tell me that to move forward. I think it's,
Well, and sometimes you have to move a little quicker too,
yeah.
to
No, I
lose out.
yeah, I didn't. I think that
Sounds
they
good to me.
knew that we were serious, and
Okay.
they did. That company came to us as how the story was presented to me this morning. So
I have a quick question here, and I think it was associated with you, but in our consent items, there's a payment to the Iowa DOT for 46,000 for right away.
right away, yes, this is okay. So this happened before my time, and I don't. It was a 2021 project, and so I talked to Lee about this, and I talked to Nick Rissman. So what happens is the DOT does projects on our behalf or in our area, and they take years and years to close out. And so this is just, they were gonna do this project regardless, and this was our part of the bill. So I did not look into this too much. I said, is this a normal thing? And Rudy said, yeah, that happens. And so it just got stuck with a $46,000 bill, and I said, what the heck? And it's something that was before my time, and as far as I know, there's no way we're gonna get out of it. So
I just seen the
It
number
could
there. and
be, sometimes it's like they're doing one of the highways and they want to know if we want to do the intersections with the county roads.
Yeah.
Dig those or
in this
something.
case, that's what it is, but it was, we were told they were gonna do that for part of this project. So it's kind of like,
It's just like the Highway 52 project in Washington where the DOT pays for it and then comes back and bills the city.
yeah, it's
Okay.
it's very much that way, and it had no, it just, in the office system was like, what is this? Are you gonna fight this? And I said, well, I'll have to at least look into it. And I said, I don't even know where to start to fight this. So everybody says this is one of the problems in working with the DOT. It takes forever for them to close on things. That being said, going forward, I'll be keeping track of what it is I'll be doing in our right of way, with better eyes than I have.
Hopefully it's the last big surprise now.
It's always gonna be a
It'd be nice,
surprise.
it'd be nice if you could carry it through over with your budget, knowing you have that coming.
Right. And I honestly, I don't know how, because they just kind of tell you what they're doing. This is one of those things where you kind of have to, I hope I haven't missed anything in the last couple of years, but it is possible. So, yeah.
Okay.
So that,
How is that line item carried on from 21 to 25 in the budgeting process?
that's just it. It was never budgeted for, at least as far as I can tell. But again, it's you're notified. They don't tell you that, hey, you know, you're on the hook, keep this in your budget. It's just a blanket notification, and it's, you know, you get a lot of emails. You got to stay on top of it. It's just, that's part of the job, as far as I can tell. So
you just found the 36,000 and
46.
46.
So
Oh my, so you just found it in,
it got billed to us in the mail, and it, I had to look at the memo and the project number and try to, like, honestly, I can't even tell you where it is anymore, because this was, I think, 2-3 weeks ago. So I said, well, I'm gonna have to pay, I have to know how to fight it if I'm gonna fight it. And there was just no way I could really justify having any stance on that. So it was just kind of an eye-opening experience for me, just because there's a lot of things that, you know, come my way from the DOT. And they're all important. So, yeah, it's just a little bit of learning on the job type of a thing here. So
The envelope, this is the bill stamped in the front.
I didn't open it, but that's what it says on the top. Yeah, it's so.
Anything else, Mike?
I guess one other thing that I didn't mention on the report, and you might be aware of this, the Fort Shop, the bay door is, it's been destroyed. It's been waterlogged, and tried to open it, and so we're gonna look at trying to fix both bay doors in the heated section and re-tin the exterior. We're getting estimates on that, so that'll be a bill that isn't in the $1.4 million balance budget yet. So I'll have to figure out the estimates. Latest estimate came in late last week, so I'll have to kind of pencil that in our budget. But that's going on. You might hear about that. So that's all I have.
Yeah, we've been having some problems in that office area for a long time. Is that what I remember?
Before my time, they revamped kind of the office area and kind of made it a little addition there, I think. But they didn't do any improvements to the bay doors, and the story is the superintendent goes in, before hours and has to open up the door, and it just like crashes on them and can't, so it was kind of a problem.
No.
And then we came in and had it quick fixed so that we could fix it with a real door, but the posts that are holding up the frame there are shot. They're actually shot on both doors. There's air leaking in. I said, why are we just fixing one when we should just fix the whole thing? So the final hurrah for that door was the door got opened again, and then when they tried to close it, it just started crumpling on the way back down. So yeah.
It's history.
Then you start running everything else.
Yeah, it's what tends to happen is those doors are kind of lightweight, but they get waterlogged, and just the drive pushed a stuck door, and it just crumpled. And so I got to see the tail end of it. So yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a better week.
It wasn't a bad week last week. Actually, I really enjoyed that conference. So
Next up,
that was
one miscellaneous item to accept, file, and publish the employee gross wage reports.
I move to accept, file, and publish the employee gross wage report.
Motion and a second to accept, file, and publish the employee gross wage report. Any further discussion? There's none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimous. Next item on the agenda, Winneshiek County Library Association with the funding requests.
Morning. All right. So, Kristen Forthwell, Director of the Decorah Public Library, been the director now for 8.5 years, full-time there for 20 and counting. So I'll try to keep this short. As you can see, our annual report, as it's making its way around, has grown in length. I did also send it out to you digitally this morning. More straightforward. But I'll try to keep my remarks short. So if you come across things in the report that you'd like to ask questions about, learn more about, please let me know. Of course, always happy to welcome you to the library. If you want to come do a walkthrough or see some of our programming or other things that are going on, I'd be happy to work with you on that anytime.
It's just on your website.
Not yet. This is
It
like
will be.
hot off the press as of this last couple of days, but yes, it will be on the website. Okay, so a few things to kick this off with. We just completed year 3 of our 3-year strategic plan, which focused on community engagement, access, and facilities. So we're now working on our next 3-year strategic plan, which will be approved by the board and then sent on to the state of Iowa as part of our reaccreditation cycle here in February. This last year, we also secured $40,000 in grant funding to support access, technology, and facilities improvements. So as I mentioned, community engagement was one of the pillars of our strategic plan. So in that category, in this last year, we expanded consistent outreach to schools and early childhood partners. We developed new partnerships serving older adults, families, and students, tweens seeking welcoming social spaces. We also launched a library-specific volunteer program for all ages. I won't talk much this morning about RSVP because I know Deana and Maggie are here to talk further about that after library presentations. But certainly RSVP also remains a significant part of our volunteer efforts at the library. and throughout the community. This last year, we also led public information efforts on legislative issues impacting libraries and critical facility needs. And the community did approve a $1.3 million maintenance bond with 74% support, which is, I've been told, about the maximum support you can expect to get on any issue when it goes to the voters for a referendum. So we were very pleased with that show of support. Under the equitable access heading, we improved physical accessibility by installing new automatic door openers that were paid for by American Library Association grants. We expanded accessible collections for people with visual impairment, both physical large print books and digital materials. Those were purchased with a $20,000 American Library Association grant. We revamped large print delivery to residential care facilities. We introduced sensory kits for neurodivergent users of all ages, and we expanded bilingual services and Spanish language collections thanks to a Depot Outlet grant. We've also increased technology access, both by expanding free tech classes that cover things like cybersecurity, smartphone use, and Libby, which is our app for free digital materials, both ebooks and digital audios. This was also grant funded. And we increased the number of public computers for in-library use, as well as mobile hotspots for checkout, because we know there are still places in the county where internet service can be tough to come by. In terms of programs and impact, this year we offered 459 programs with over 13,000 participants, and that spans all age groups. Adult participation in programming was up 30% over last year, which was significant. And we continue to have strong youth and family engagement, including a summer reading program that lasted 2 months and served over 900 kids and teens. We were also able to create our first part-time assistant children's and young adult librarian position to further expand programming for youth, which has been a consistent need area and really popular. And we were able to do that by doing some restructuring through natural succession planning. Under facilities and sustainability, our annual building inspection is now drawn on a regular schedule, and we have a comprehensive facilities maintenance plan in place that allows us to really stay on top of what maintenance needs our building has and address those as they come up, which is of course a savings in the long term, as long as we don't allow problems to go on too long. And of course, our bond funding, thanks to community support, moves our library from planning to implementation stage on critical infrastructure repairs, which if you were receiving our information leading up to the bond, you know are significant.
How much was that bond again?
1.3 million.
1.3.
So really it's about 1.1 that will go towards projects, and that other little remainder is the bond financing. So at that point, are there questions that you have or things that you'd like to know more about that you're seeing in the report? Anything in there?
For your hotspots used significantly?
Constantly, yeah. They're checked out all the time. There's usually a waiting list. That's why we've continued to add more to the circulating collection.
How much, I'll say, grant money?
This last year it was about 40,000. It fluctuates significantly just based on what's available. In the public library sphere, certainly there are community organizations like the Depot Outlet or the Community Foundation that will fund a variety of different organizations. The bigger grants are usually library specific. And so if that doesn't come from the American Library Association or the Public Library Association, there's not a lot out there for us. So it sort of just depends on keeping our eyes peeled for what's available, what our community is going to meet the guidelines for, and then going after it.
And what percentage of your users are Decorah residents?
About 60% Decorah and about 40% county. And our funding breakdown is about 85% city and about 14% county. And then there are, a few other percentage points where the funding is made up of things like support from Friends of the Library, support from individual donors, and grants.
Can you speak a little bit to how Decorah Public Library partners with the libraries throughout the county?
Sure. So our Winneshiek County libraries are in regular contact. We often share resources such as large print materials, such as interlibrary loan materials, We've often worked together amongst ourselves for things like programming. So sharing costs for a presenter, for example, that we're paying mileage for them to come into the area, then it cuts down on costs if several of us have bookings for the same day or similar time period, which is usually especially useful during summer reading program.
Have you ever looked into doing a bookmobile to take it other outlying regions of the county? Or
We have thought about that.
underserved areas, I
The
guess?
funding is always the challenge, and generally speaking, it's large metro libraries that have the resources to do a bookmobile. We've certainly talked about it as one of those, you know, if resources were unlimited, what would you do? Ideas, but haven't come up with anything that seems doable from our sort of current fiscal standpoint.
Your staffing numbers that are in this report of the full-time equivalents, does that include is that the whole library system or is that just?
That's just
you
Decorah.
here in Decorah?
Yes, yep.
I know some of the small ones, Fort, Scoville, so forth, are really struggling with the amount of funding that they get to even pay for a librarian.
Mhm.
The librarian in some of those locations could go to Quick Start and do better than what they make being a librarian in a small town.
That's true in libraries across the nation, unfortunately. Librarianship has not been recognized as a skilled profession in a lot of cases, and it has been done by women primarily in a lot of cases, and we know what the data tells us about wages there. So we've tried to address that in Decorah to the best of our abilities, but there's always the funding reality that you come up against as well. So that certainly is a challenge. And sometimes that's where, you know, engaging community volunteers, skilled volunteering, partnering with RSVP can be really helpful. But it is still a problem for sure.
So do your particular salary within Decorah compare with the other outside libraries? You find a similar situation for you?
Our library wages compare to the comparable cities that the city of Decorah the council has officially recognized as being like in population and other sort of demographic criteria. So when when the library board has looked at Decorah Public Library wages, that's what they're looking at is wages in those comparable cities and then comparable positions in terms of education, experience, responsibility, et cetera, in other city departments. So that's how they've addressed
So
our
yours,
situation.
like small rural, I think some of them are about $17 is where their wages are for the librarian. Is
Oh,
that
I'd say it's less than that in a lot of places.
within the county? I know at Spillville, it's about 17 and Ruth has been there and she's getting ready to retire. So that creates another major problem.
Yes, it does. Yeah, succession is very challenging when you're dealing with wages and often benefits challenges as well. I mean, usually and certainly my colleagues can speak to this more directly than I can, but generally speaking, you're looking at asking people to work a lot more than the scheduled hours for that same wage. And then vacation, health insurance, all those things are sometimes absent, sometimes pretty minimal. So it is very challenging.
Have you ever talked about, and I applaud the other libraries for doing the good work, but sharing, like wages, staffing somehow?
You know, my sense on that type of collaboration is that I don't want Decorah to come across as the library who's trying to tell everybody how to do their job and step in and us do that work, because each of those librarians is best acquainted with their community needs. So I think our role is to be responsive and to assist as requested by those colleagues. But I want to be very careful that we're not overstepping, because I know, you know, communities value highly having their own independent public libraries, much like public schools. So I'm certainly open to having those conversations, but I don't think I'm the right person to initiate that.
Just bring that up just because sometimes necessity drives that.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I'm
And we
not
may-
advocating
yeah.
we should do that, but just.
that may be a future consideration as costs continue to increase and resources don't necessarily keep pace. So in closing, thank you for your support. I did share our usual funding breakdown and request. Our additional request for each library this year is stable at the $3,000 mark, which, you know, as we've just been discussing, is really impactful for our smaller libraries in particular to be able to carry out the good work that they're doing in their communities. So I'll let them speak
I was
more
gonna say, I
directly.
see a couple more friendly
Yep.
faces out there.
Yep, I got the hot seat first, but we have some additional folks here. So thank you so much, and please do reach out if you have questions for us.
And yes, our library is struggling with budget. We had a very good turnout with our summer library program. We've had very good turnout, which is huge, at the Halloween trunk or treat. And we've had very good turnout with Christmas and calendar, being it was so cold that night. We still had about 25% less, but we had a very good turnout. It was over 400. So, yeah. And the Halloween one was over 6, I think. And our summer library program, we run about 28 to 50 each day. And that just comes from our daycare in town. And other than that, it's been very good. And the big thing I had was the struggle with the budget. But other than that, everything has been going well. I feel. We're running out of our deleted books now because they went out pretty good. And so we have to think of something else to do with that. And, we have increased with the ebooks. They're increasing every year. And we'd like to keep the contract written as it is, and 3,000 or so. It would really make a difference. And I haven't taken any raises since I started, because I feel that if we do run short on the budget, that we got someplace to go. We could pick up a little bit to finish it out. And then I think it's been okay. So,
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for your hard work.
You know, all of you are kind of the unsung heroes of the communities to be running these libraries. Thank you for doing that.
oh yes, I enjoy it. And it's been a little bit challenging because I go to dialysis 3 times a week in the morning. And then I have about an hour to rest a little and get lunch, and then I'm back in the library. So it's working, and it's a good thing too. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Morning, everyone.
I was gonna email this to you and it didn't get done, so here we are. Get it visible.
This is better.
Yes, it's nice to see it in paper. I'm Laura Lewis, for those who don't know, I'm the Fort Atkinson Public Librarian. We had a good year this year. We had a lot of kids for summer library program, and we had our Supper with Santa fundraiser in December, which turned out really well. It was a little bit down because of the weather, but not bad. We've had an increase in use of digital resources. Those have been going up astronomically, which is wonderful, except that they are more expensive than regular books. So we've not been able to contribute to that, unfortunately. We just have to be part of the consortium. We did initially get some when we had COVID-19 funding. We did use some of that for ebooks and stuff, but we haven't been able to do that since because of budget, unfortunately. But we do keep our physical collection growing all the time. So that's been the way that we've been able to do it. Our circulation is mostly for rural people because Fort Atkinson is so small. It's a lot of the rural population that comes in and gets stuff. The city as well, we get a little bit of the city, but it's mostly the older people or the younger people. Like small children and older people are most of our population that come in. We have seen an increase in families coming in, which is great. We have Wednesday mornings, we have book buddies, which is our story time program. And so we've seen an increase in that, which is wonderful. And then when there's like school days off, we have the kids come in. We got a grant for a bunch of STEAM program stuff. So we've been doing that with them, learning different things on like programming and 3D pens and different stuff like that. So trying to think what else is new. I think that's about it.
You did a great job.
Thank you. I try really hard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good participation for rural.
It is, yeah. We serve chili, cheesy broccoli soup, and chicken noodle soup. And then you get chips, a bar, a drink, crackers as well. Yeah,
Sounds great.
it is.
And volunteer, like all of that.
Yes. Yes, we do have Kurt Atkinson do the soups. Well, he does the 2 soups and we do the chili, but yes, it's mostly volunteer. Yes,
Great.
it's a big undertaking, but we're lucky and we have amazing volunteers.
Person, are you able to do interlibrary with your ebooks, or that you have to have the collection yourself?
It's a physical collection thing only because the ebooks are available to the whole state. So we have the physical collection is what goes out to interlibrary loan. Yeah. Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda, Deana Hageman from RSVP. Good morning.
Good morning. Didn't get these out in time.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm Deana Hageman with RSVP. I've been there coming up on 9 years.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. We've got Luther students in the back who are visiting today, just observing through a plaque for J-turn. And the Northeast Iowa Retired Senior Volunteer Program is the RSVP program.
So 55 and better. We have had a really great year. We were able to add Clayton and Fayette County as an additional grant that our office serves. And so as a result, we have been lucky enough to hire 2 full-time volunteer coordinators, one to manage the Clayton Fayette area, and then Maggie Callanan is our full-time volunteer coordinator in Decorah. So for I think the first time ever in the program, we've had a full-time volunteer coordinator. We have I try and bring you something a little different every year. This year I talked about what our work plans are. And so we have kind of 6 focus areas. One is fraud fighters. And so we partner with the Iowa Insurance Division, and we had, I think, 5 presentations this year. Our tax program has an amazing group of, last year, I think it was 42 volunteers, and they did over 700 tax returns for free. And their accuracy rate is 98%. So not only do they do a lot, but they're also really good at it. And they're gearing up to start taxes again this year. I think they have a few more volunteers. We have been doing meal delivery through Northeast Iowa, our area agency on aging, and Good Sam out of Postville. They cover the Postville area. That will actually be changing because they have had a change in their meal delivery. And so we won't be doing meal delivery anymore, but we are looking at trying, how do we fill that gap? How do we fill somebody checking in on these folks every day? So the front of this report just talks about, other than food pantry and meal delivery, where do we have lots of hours? RSVP actually tops the top 10 that are not food pantry related. And so we do a lot of things. We do our Pen Pal program. This year, I think we have about 350 third graders that we've either written to, are writing to, or going to write to in all 3 counties. And I have lead volunteers who facilitate all of that because that's a huge undertaking. And so a lot of those hours are from that. We sponsor the Fraud Fighter program. And so we have hours from that. We have people who help organizations with newsletters, stuff mailings. I think Community Action one time needed 1,500 letters stuffed and mailed. And so we sent volunteers down there to help with that. So we have a lot of volunteers who fill in for organizations who need that one-time kind of support. And then the rest kind of shows the different hours. I did color code them so that you can see Winneshiek County has a lot of the bulk of the hours. I should also start out in saying that Winneshiek County had of the 42,000 hours that our organization had as a whole, Winneshiek County had over 20,000 of those hours. The bulk of our volunteers are in Winneshiek County. The backside talks about the food-related work plans that we have. The top one is things other than food pantries. So backpack programs, the Cafe to Community up at Luther, Northeast Iowa Community Action. We had volunteers delivering Christmas meals on Christmas Day for folks. Emmanuel Lutheran has I guess that's Creswell. Iowa Food Hub, we help out. NISI, we take them warm meals for their students at lunch. And so there are a lot of things that are not food pantry related that our volunteers also help with. And then the bottom chart is our food related stations. So we have the DeCourt Community Food Pantry. I think there's over 100 volunteers placed at that station. And then the Greater Area Pantry in Kelmer. So we have volunteers at roughly about 82 different stations. We run pretty consistently with about 600 volunteers across the 3-county area. And with the addition of a full-time person, we're looking at seeing what else there is we can support. So just if you take Winneshiek County had 20,544 hours. The independent sector values a volunteer hour at $29.96. So if you do that math, it's over $615,000 that our volunteers put back into Winneshiek County in service.
A great return on our investment. Thank you.
Any questions?
Can you say what the request amount is?
Oh, yes. We're asking for the same thing that we received last year, and that was 15,000. I know that everybody's budgets are tight, including ours, but just going to continue to keep a same level funding.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you guys do.
Next item on the agenda, Winneshiek County Development and Tourism. Mark Jensen, Stephanie Brown. Down, guys.
Thanks, you guys.
Morning, everybody. Morning. I feel like you should have like a red suit on when I come up and sit on your lap and ask for a person. Yeah. Feels a little like Groundhog's Day. And I don't know, we were Steph and I were trying to debate on the way up here if it's the 10th year in a row that we've come together up here or something along those lines. That's good, folks. Yeah. Well, we're here on behalf of Winneshiek County Development and Tourism this morning to put in our request for the upcoming budget season. The budget request will remain the same as it had in the previous seasons, as you see outlined in our letter at 95,000. In regards to the organization, continuing to promote and the economic development tourism of the entire county, and have had some really great fruits of the labors over the last few years. A lot of things to be proud of. A lot of exciting things happening within the entire county. That we've really worked hard to, I know Steph's been working actually directly with a number of you guys on various projects throughout the time. the accolades, the highlights, the big, you know, splashy stuff is listed in the handout that I have here, but I think really realistically, I've said it before in other meetings too, you know, a lot of the work that happened in this organization never hits the paper. Never is in front of the news, doesn't have a highlight because it's happening behind the scenes, meaning it isn't the standing with the big check outside of the ball field. It isn't doing those things. It's doing the day-to-day work of economic development, tourism that just takes the more daily driving type of stuff that generates the results that aren't one-time projects. So the work goes on every day and it's continued to perform at a high level. In addition, we have Maddie Putnam here in the audience with us. She really works hard to, actually I should say Putnam Keck. Works hard to get further out into our schools, into our communities, and find new ways that we can impact the citizens of the entire county. How about you, Fran? What do you have to say?
I noticed one typo here in this packet. It's 2025 countywide overview, not 2024. But other than that, you know, the packet has a lot of information about some of the projects that we've been working on over the last year. And even beyond that, some of the bigger projects that obviously take more than just 12 months to complete. We're in the works and conversations with a few of you on some of the county projects or priorities. Looking forward to the strategic planning session that's coming up too. And in terms of tourism, you know, we have a very robust tourism. Obviously, our outdoor recreation is sort of a highlight in the state of Iowa. And we're very fortunate to have some of our outdoor trails and businesses that sort of play into tourism as well. That information can also be found here. I know in past meetings, on the last page actually is the visitor data that I think you would find very helpful in some of your conversations. It sort of calls out this arrival list platform. We've talked about it in the past. Moving forward, they are sort of pivoting that platform to a separate platform, but still tracking visitor data, visitor spending throughout the entire state of Iowa. And we are fortunate to have access to that data. We do pay a membership for that through the hotel motel funds, actually get us that data. So this data is actually pulled from cell phones. So it is very true, obviously. You have a location on your phone unless you actively turn it off, but they target 18 years and older. And it's if you spend so many hours within a certain city limits or county, in this case, would be Winneshiek County data. It's so many hours inside that threshold triggers you as a visitor. So you can see trip shares by month, where they're coming from, primarily what day of the week they're traveling here, and then how long they're staying, which is pretty helpful. Other than that, a couple of pages back too, it sort of highlights some of the taxable sales and the local option sales tax. Obviously, taxable sales are being generated throughout the entire county. We sort of try to calculate that as reports come due. They're switching things now, so sales tax is actually reported by month. It used to be by quarter. So we're now in transition away from this quarterly data collection to a more monthly sort of style. So we're just kind of trying to get used to the new reports. It's taken a little bit more time to pull that data together. But then local option sales tax, as many of you know, because you're on the councils like in Ocean and Spillville, that even though taxes are collected throughout the entire county, they're redistributed per capita and sent back to, obviously, Winneshiek County gets a large portion of it, but then also all of the municipalities get a portion.
On this chart up here, for 2020, each one with that orange bar there.
Yeah, sometimes these print different because they're created in Canva. So
Yeah.
if they don't print correctly, it's because of that.
It's
Sorry.
yeah. What do you think that 2024 will actually be?
That's also hard to say because it is there is a little bit of a delay, but I can look that up and see where we're at now because it's now monthly. They transition that to a monthly collection too. So yeah. Yes, we are trending higher. Yeah. So I would say if it would be the same, if not higher than that one. Yep.
What percent is the hotel motel? What what percent of the whole?
So it's a tax for lodge, it's the lodging
Yeah,
tax
but
only.
what percent?
Gosh, I think it is a, I
Collection rate, you mean?
think it's a
7.1%, I think is
It's
what I.
7%, I think, yeah. It's either 5 or a 7, so you pay a sales tax on your hotel room, you pay a sales tax, and then it's an additional lodging tax on top of the sales tax.
Yeah,
So it's a completely separate,
like
bucket.
7% of the family stays.
Yeah.
Yes, put into the hotel motel, and then, yes, it goes down to the state and then sent back, yeah.
A lot of cities are 10. A lot of cities are 10%.
Oh, they're up to 10.
Or more.
And Decorah is the only city in Winneshiek County that has.
That does collect, yeah, and they did that, I think, in the early 90s, they implemented that, and had it passed via vote, I think it voted.
Yeah, you have to.
So other cities could, like, if they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they had lodging, in their community.
Or the outside, the unincorporated areas don't have it either.
No,
Although I think that some of the Airbnb and those national organizations force it on their people who stay there, even if you don't live in the city or aren't in
5101 zip code.
They
yeah, I don't know, zip code or something.
we've done some like spot checking on some of those things, and it looks like they're tightening those things
Oh,
up, so they
that's
are tightening.
In the county in general. Or
I think Alameda County has a hotel motel, or
so
is it
for,
ordinance or law or something?
so for units outside of the municipalities, the county could correct.
Yeah,
Correct, yes,
it would only be for those outside the 8 city
Yep.
limits.
yes,
Mhm.
yep,
If,
Yeah.
Because I think that would also legitimize.
yeah, there's new platforms that the state's starting to pivot to, away. I want to say like away from arrival list, but I think there are other opportunities for us to collect that data that would be more usable data for what we're looking for.
You could just look at Airbnb and whatever. and say,
Ones are actually within the limit.
And calculate that and say, well, that's a significant amount of money.
Hard part we don't know is what, that's private data for what their collection, like did that Airbnb make $20,000? Did this Airbnb make 4,000? You know, we could tell which ones are outside
Through
of the
those
city
platforms,
limits,
yeah.
but through the platform, we'd have to then try to figure out what you could propose, assume you'd actually collect, because we don't know how many nights they're rented or whatever, that way, that makes sense.
Well,
They have it.
I mean,
because Airbnb has to do
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
you
we have to get it from their information. Yeah,
Just like you get it from the cities.
they're collecting, I think, yeah.
So is this the tax we collect, is that for the total, it's business and recreation and everything, for the total amount of stays we have in our hotel, motel, B&Bs? for the
this is
year?
the tax
That's-
collected.
That's the total, that's not just bigger tourism or
No, it's just.
this,
It's-
that's the.
All the days, and anyone that has a lodging fee
Yep.
in,
In
you
the
know,
city
within the
limits.
city limits.
Of the-
Yeah, so I mean, if you're here because you're a construction worker staying in the thing, then that,
This is all off that total.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
This is 7%.
And it, to the right of that, it actually breaks it down on how the city has chosen to spend those funds. And so Decorah Jobs, which Winneshiek County Development Tourism has a contract for Decorah Jobs, so I sort of wear two hats. And so we represent Decorah Jobs as well, and they own and manage the business park up where Toppling is. They've also done some smaller projects downtown here. Many years ago, before my time, they had flipped where the old Pomida building was into a more commercial usable space. Many moons before I even worked in this job too, they worked with Camcar, which is now Stanley, but this group had recruited. So these funds are invested in economic development, which ultimately do also improve the county's taxpayers' use of funds. And then obviously the hotel motel committee manages 25% of that first 500,000. And that's what we use for marketing and pushing out the Visit Decorah brand, representation at various events and expos. They hold booths and talk to individuals one-on-one. And then another portion of it goes back into Decorah Park and Rec for trail development and park maintenance and stuff. So,
So the cities decide how they want to spend that money. Doesn't have. to
well, the
be-
voters do, because they put it up in front of the voters to have a referendum, and then the voters, whether or not they approve it. So in the early nineties, this is exactly what they had said they were gonna use that money for, and that's how they have to.
So if we didn't do the greater outside metro areas, they can decide how they wanted that money. Big portion.
Well, however you write it up in the,
Yeah,
in the
the statute does require a percentage of it to be spent on
economic
economic
development.
development and tourism. So like, it couldn't just be back to the general fund.
Yeah.
Like it had, if you could, yes, correct, yes, yeah, but it just to make that yeah, there is some stipulations of where it's assumed to have been spent.
Yeah.
If some of the incorporated cities decide to do it, they have to go through the election process and they will be contacting Ben, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
None of them have done it, so.
it just to find the numbers and how
Yeah.
are outside.
There's a lot of units in the county.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anyone have any questions or our priorities going into the next year? And a few of you know that because we've talked about it at our board meetings, but housing, we had received a housing grant this last fall. And so we're busy working with some engineers and some planners to help design sort of that dense style housing project that can be replicated in other parts of the county. But also in a partnership with Decorah Jobs, because they do own a 3.5 residential acreage that we're trying to help it on as like a pilot, and then obviously use it elsewhere.
Is that the piece behind the units that put up by Toppling?
Nope, it is the Decorah Jobs parcel is where the old Sunflower was on Highway.
Nice location.
And Maddie has been making the rounds and going to the smaller towns and visiting with their city councils on a regular basis. So she has done what you said you were going to do last year. And then she made the long drive home.
Yeah. She also had a lot of other great stuff that happened throughout the county that you can see on that one sheet, one of which was also working a lot with South Winn School District to help get their bond passed as well, which was a big win for that community.
Thanks for that word.
You don't have anything else? Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
Next item on the agenda, Paul Berland. RC&D. Morning.
Morning.
We are keeping our request the same as it has been, I believe, the last 8 years, to ask for $12,000 again for Northeast Iowa RC&D. I believe I'm also going to ask about the Upper Iowa River watershed monitoring as well. And that request will remain the same as well. I believe that was $2,000. I'll touch on that at the end.
RC&D is.
Yes, sorry, Resource Conservation and Development. We serve 7 counties in Northeast Iowa. And have for a long time. And I'll touch a bit on, well, first of all, thank you for your contribution last year. We had a bit of an interesting and challenging year for a number of reasons, but we feel like we put that money to really good use. Through our office alone, we ran over $1.25 million last year in project funds for the region. So for every dollar that we get from our county supervisor support, we turned that into $16.50 in economic activity that ran just through our office. That's not including projects or grants that we wrote for people that funds didn't run through our office. So the actual impact is far greater than that. We request funds from our county partners to help us pay for things that some of our grants and some of our other fee-for-service projects just have a tough time covering. Utility, property taxes, property insurance, board director insurance. Our audit can be close to $20,000 a year. So things like that. We have now 8 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. 7 of those employees are paid entirely off of grant funds, contracts, fee-for-service projects that we use. A little bit of the funding we get from our our county support pays for my time to do things like this and do some other just organizational leadership business. And then also some of our QuickBooks and payroll support from an accountant. That's our part-time
Just for a
staff,
little
part-time staff person.
Little history, up until like 15 years ago, some of those costs were covered by the federal government.
Right.
And when they quit funding these organizations, our area, the counties decided to keep the organization going by putting county funding towards it.
Yes.
Did all of the RC&Ds in the state end up getting county funding, or did some of them just kind of
No,
disappear?
a number of them closed. A number of them stayed open in more name only. Many of them didn't have their own building, didn't have their own facilities, and didn't actually, a lot of them didn't have other employees other than the employees that were paid for through the federal appropriation, which was the Department of the Natural Resource Conservation Service at that time. And so ones that didn't have a staff and didn't have building, most of those, while I think they tried to stay open, documents lived in a board of director members basement for a while, and then they're out. There are 4 RC&Ds that are functioning at, I would say, fairly full capacity. A couple others in the state that are, it's almost just in name only, or they have one project. I think ours is certainly the most robust and most diverse in the projects that we work on. Some of the projects we have been or recently are just now working on, obviously, the flood reduction structures and the wetland out there on Dry Run on the property owned by Winneshiek County Conservation guys.
Make sure you speak up.
Yeah, sorry. That was put there. We put in 5 flood reduction structures, sediment detection structures, and then a wetland there. We raised over $600,000 for that project, in addition to the funding that the county put in through the ARPA funds. That work is now done, almost done. A little bit of seeding to be done in the spring, but otherwise that work is done. We've done a lot of other work with ag-related projects and water and drinking water protection as well. We've got a contract we're working with the American Flood Coalition, looking at multi-cropping again, as I think I've talked about in the past, but really diving into the impact of diversified cropping systems and the ability to increase the infiltration capacity of the soil to hold more water where it is. There's also been quite a bit of research done now and field tests that we've done with landowners and looking at the profitability of that and how it's a more profitable system without having to have cost share, which is ideal. We're working on a project right now with the city of Stillville on their drinking water protection. So providing some funding for them to do some well work. Is also providing some funding for private citizens in that area to upgrade their septic systems. In that project, we've got a new project working on a pilot to test no fence collars. So these are collars that belong your cattle or goats, and then it's a geo based fencing system. So the landowner can put the perimeter in on their phone. Cattle and goats will learn very quickly where they can go, and then it's very easy to move that geo fence to rotate the grazing, as well as not having to move fencing. So yeah, we just started it this last fall, so I think the initial use was really good. I mean, we got a few pings from Cal those first few days as they were learning the cues. There's an audio shock collars, essentially, yes, like an underground fence, but there actually is no physical infrastructure. It's just straight satellite. So it's been met pretty good. We've got a couple more years now where we're going to try it in different locations, but it allows for grazing of cover crops or things along those lines, or grazing crop fields in the fall.
Yearly fee for that?
There is a subscription fee. Yep, but it's pretty reasonable. And we're providing the collars and actually that fee for the first couple of years. So yeah, so no cost to those in the pilot, but yeah, but I I think the fee is really reasonable, so.
Some studies out in Montana that show it to be quite successful in some of that large area ranging out there with cattle.
Yeah. I know there's another project, I think in southwest Iowa right now, or maybe southeast Iowa, that they're working on it as well, so.
I'll take out all the fun associated with events.
Yeah, yeah. So that's sort of the idea there. That'll be interesting to see how that pans out, but the early results are very good, very positive on that. We do some tourism related work, obviously through our office. We work with the scenic byways. We've got a large statewide byway kiosk project. We've got another one that'll be coming into Winneshiek County there. We've got a project that we just got from the Iowa Tourism Grant to do video promotion of several of our small museums in the county. So Beatty Clocks, Laura Ingalls-Waller, Porterhouse, the Turkey River Cultural Center, and then the actually German American Museum, which is just outside the county. But yep. So that is a project that we'll be doing, developing a marketing video for them to help increase their branding and tourism. We've got some work, obviously we want to work with local foods and local food production. So we've worked with the Cora Farmers Market, which is essentially a poster child for smaller farmers markets in the state. We've got our mobile juice press, which pressed over 10,000 bushels of fruit last year. And that project is now officially wrapped up through the USDA. We still own the press and it's still available for local producers to use. And so there's some options there. Obviously the cider industry has changed quite a bit in the last even 6 years since I think we dreamed up that project. And so we're looking at different avenues to put that to work. We've right now got a gentleman that's going to use it that has 26 acres of aronia berries. That he's going to press, which that's a lot of aronia berries. And so, yeah, he's got a machine set up that he's going to pick. And so he's working on some contracts with companies in Wisconsin, Indiana, and California for use of his aronia berry juice. So it's used as a dye, like a non-artificial dye, as well as in some other health and beauty products as well. So. But that'll be available for use throughout our area. Hopefully the fee would only be the cost to get it to where it's going and back. Also on that line, we work with Sunflower Child Care Center on a food to schools project where we help develop curriculum for them to tie the food that they were eating to the local foods and dairies and dairy producers that were producing that food. So sort of trying to keep that connection of where our food comes from. So that was an exciting project there. And that's now transferable. Those materials could go to any either preschool to elementary education or any other child care center as well. We wanted to use those materials that would be pretty easily transferable.
Are they an online thing?
It's not online right now, but it could be a kit. Two components. The curriculum could easily be sent electronically. There were a few associated with learning materials that could be ordered as well. So yeah, a lot of exciting things coming up. I guess I'll shift very quickly to the Upper Iowa monitoring as well. Josh Dansville in our office previously came and made that request. As I think you guys are aware, unfortunately, tragically passed away in November. And so that's been a bit of a challenge from the staff standpoint. But the request there would be to help us fund the monitoring costs. So we have the samples analyzed at the University of Iowa. 30 sites throughout the watershed, 7 months out of the year, so April through October. We do monitoring at essentially the outlet of the subwatersheds. And so this is a snapshot, monthly snapshot that is essentially capturing that whole subwatershed, looking at trends, looking at needs. This is the longest running monthly sampling program in the state of Iowa. We started it in 2004. And It's been utilized to bring in a significant amount of money in landowner cost share programs and other conservation programs. The soil and water districts used it, we've used it, and a number of others have as well to justify the need to bring in funding to help landowners implement practices.
Money well spent.
Yes, the return on that money has certainly been good over the years, for sure.
That's the same as last year.
That's the same as last year. Yep. The costs for that keep going up, but yeah, we're looking at, are we eventually going to need to cut out a month? October, the way our climate seems to be going, or where our weather seems to be, October, there doesn't seem to be a lot of water flowing in most of our streams, most years anyway. So maybe that's a month we could cut out and not really impact the data set, but cut the cost. We work with other partners that volunteer their time to collect those samples. So really the only cost is the monitoring as well. There's the testing cost from the lab. Yep.
And I think you switched which lab was doing the testing.
We did.
Save a little money from previous reports Josh gave.
Yep.
That was what I remember.
Yep, we were originally with the Upper Iowa Geologic Survey. They charged a lot. We went to Co College and saved quite a bit of money. Then the instructor that was at Co, that was actually doing the analysis, went to the University of Iowa. So now we're back to paying the University of Iowa, but we're still paying essentially through his lab and his students doing the analysis. And so it is Marty St. Clair. So it's less cost.
What request for water?
We're looking at E. coli, bacteria, nitrates, phosphates, chloride, and then total suspended solids. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're gonna have to leave, Mark.
Yeah, here in about 5 minutes.
Do you have any committee reports? Do you have to leave or anything?
No, I said 911 last budget, 911 budget, yeah. Policy, we got, Mansfield tonight at 5.
I'll be attending that board more, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll decide later today.
One of you two.
One of us will be
Okay.
there.
Did you mention 911's administrative change that they're looking at?
Yeah, the 911 and EMS would be joining. And we got to okay it with the EMS board, 911 board okayed it. EMS board's got to okay it. That's as long as nothing would change down. Like say if something would change down at Des Moines where EMS would be regional, then we'd have to split 911 off because 911 wouldn't be regional. Let's say if they regionalize 911 or something, then we'd still have to split off and EMS. I mean, it all curtailed at what happens down there.
Yes. Right now, the plan is for EMS to.
911 and EMS to merge.
Services.
Yeah. They never the 911 board, they were.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, they can still come, it's a public meeting, they can still come and put their inputs in, or if they got questions or whatever, it's.
It was a unanimous.
Unanimous.
Yep,
Unanimous.
it's unanimous vote, yeah. So, yeah, it's,
Yeah,
then we joined met like twice a year, budget and whatever.
basically for budget review and approval, which will be done through 911,
Anyway.
through EMS later.
Yeah, a lot of what 911 did was kind of set in motion and everything was, the towers and all of that. Infrastructure was done a few years ago. It's probably, you've got some in-house equipment stuff that you need to maintain.
But that's now we've kind of set up.
It's in good shape.
Yeah.
And Sean was basically coordinating for both
anyway,
committees separately, so he can do it together.
Yeah. Okay. That way you have all elected officials are making the budget decision, rather than before it was. But they were just, this year's all, it'd be all elected to be mayors and
supervisor, if they're all elected officials, they can, or not all elected, but majority of them are.
Some of those fire chiefs were pretty, close in their spending habits, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was, yeah.
I think they were pretty careful, but
Yeah, we got through it. And everybody was unanimous, so to do it.
All right, Andy Vandermark, county attorney.
So have the budget stuff. I don't really have anything else for you. And maybe if you have something from you, clear that up and we'll get into the budgeting.
I don't have any questions for you.
The only thing I have is, I think maybe in a month or so after we go into the budget stuff here, we'll have another closed session to discuss the county home and land.
Sure.
And then if we could all be brought up to speed at that time on our agreement with Wellington.
Sure.
So that's the only other thing I have at this point. Okay.
I'm trying to slide out the door.
Thanks for the MOU for the recycling. That's got something straightened out that really needed to be straightened out.
And that'll be on the agenda. I didn't get the sign one from the city till Friday, so I'll get it on the next week's agenda, for you to sign.
11:32.
There probably isn't
See you
any
later.
big changes in.
Thank you.
No, I think most of it stayed pretty much the same from last year. There was an increase in office data processing equipment. We use a case management system called Prosecutor by Carpel. And I know that license fee is going up some. So in that, I think it bumped to 10%, yeah. And we have that case management software. We also have what's called Guardify. It's where we store our discovery materials or reports or stuff that we use in each criminal case. And that's the software that we use to share it with defense counsel and for law enforcement to share it with us. And that typically climbs annually. I usually take some of the miscellaneous line to cover that and PBK if it gets more than the 20,000 last year that was budgeted. A couple years ago with Guardify, I was able to convince them to freeze it for 2 years if we paid it in advance for the 2 years. Depending on what's happening for this year's county attorney election, we may take a look at that again if I can reach out to whoever's running to get their approval to do that. It's not a huge savings, but it might be $700-800 in increase. It's, it's easy enough to do if the resources are here. So beyond that, if you have questions, happy to try to answer them.
The only big increase is the adding a health insurance premium for the assistant county attorney.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you, if I haven't, I should, but Charles Crane, I moved him from a part-time assistant to a full-time assistant January 1st. We've gone over 3 years now looking for an assistant and somebody that we could bring in on a part-time basis, also be an associate with our law firm. Have not had any success in doing that. And the workload has not changed for the better, should we say. It's continues to go up and it's not complaining. Law enforcement does a great job. They bring us fantastic cases, but with all the body cam video, with all the car video, with all the other electronic audio type stuff. It takes a little time to review all of that, and that was something that, continues to be on the increase. So that's where we're at. And I asked Ben to put in, I think the health insurance as a family plan. That decision hasn't been made, but I thought that was worst case scenario.
Looks good.
So on a related topic, after 32 years, I've decided I'm not running for county attorney again. So,
Didn't
see that coming. It takes me a while for things to sink in, but it finally caught up to me that maybe it's time. So along those lines, and with regard to the budget, I've talked to a couple of you about this before. I would recommend that you consider making the county attorney's office a full-time position in Winneshiek County. I think it's time. Like I said, the workload has not gone down. It is not going to be possible for a full-time county attorney to do everything, but they might be able to get by with one or two part-time assistants or another full-time assistant. Part of it is you have a situation where juvenile court meets on Wednesdays, our criminal trials start on Wednesday. You can't do it by yourself. You can't be two places at once, obviously.
Do you know the procedure for the county to switch that?
Funny you should ask.
Okay.
It is, you can do it by agreement with the county attorney, but in this particular instance, I would suggest it would be done by resolution. And because it is an election year, that resolution would have to be adopted before March 1st. So that whoever decides to run goes in with their eyes open, I think, to know what they're looking at. That resolution also has to set the annual salary, which is between 45 and 100% of the annual salary of a district court judge. Based on 2025 numbers, that would fall between 74,700 and 166,000.
What part of Iowa code would I go to?
331.752.
331.752. Thank you.
That's a pretty large gap in between.
It is, and I think you take into account size of the county, the workload, rest of that. Like I said, I talked to Steve and I talked to Mark about this a month or so ago. And I do appreciate you guys taking the time to visit about it. I think that there are, in addition to the workload issues for making this full time, there are some potential budget savings that you're obviously going to trade off with an increase in salary for that position or for the assistants. But assuming that you have space available somewhere on county property, preferably close to the courthouse, you could save some rent costs. Part of our miscellaneous is we use for making sure that our software technology is secure, because we are working with two components. We've got our server for our office, our server for the county both sit behind the same firewall, and they have to be able to talk to each other. So that's something that we don't expect John to do because it's related to us. So there's things like that. There's a few items. It's not going to be a huge thing, but in the long run, I think once you kind of iron out all those details, I think you'll see see it come in a little less than where it's at now.
Would you,
And for,
would you foresee, if we hired a full-time assistant, maybe we're required to pay them a certain percentage of the full-time?
85, yeah.
Oh, could that person potentially be in HR work?
If it were the right person, yes. Part of the only reason I'm hesitant is I think the county needs a full-time HR director. One of the problems with having somebody in the county attorney's office do that is the HR director needs legal advice from time to time. The recipient of the HR complaint may need advice. I mean, you're kind of boxing yourself in, and I think it would take the right attorney with the right background, and not all of them come with that or equipped to do that. And if you are going to make them that person, the HR director, which we all foresee as a potential full-time position, when do they do their county attorney work? Could it happen? If the stars aligned and the right person came in, maybe.
if the right person came in, you could potentially have on the second assistant county attorney that did primarily HR duties, but could then help cover the county attorney workload if it was the right person.
The other thing I foresee is I think you may end up paying more having an attorney provide those services than hiring an HR trained person for the director.
So would you think it's valuable to go ahead and at least consider housing an HR person near wherever the county attorney was, so they've got for access?
Probably not critical. And the only reason I say that is I have had feedback from employees of the county who are reluctant to come to the county attorney. And, if the county attorney's office and HR are sharing a conference room, I don't know if that has a chilling effect on the willingness to come in and voice concerns.
Chilling.
Is that
chilling effect?
Yes.
And just for clarification, the workload for a full-time county attorney versus a part-time county attorney doesn't really change the workload. It changes what that person can do outside the county's workload.
Correct.
So a full-time county attorney cannot have private practice. They only do county attorney stuff, whereas a part-time county attorney still has the same workload. They just can also have private practice.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so that's why you might have fewer or less need for assistant county attorneys, because the county attorney might be able to focus solely on county business.
So do any of the surrounding counties, have they already gone to a full-time, like for example, Fayette is a full-time county attorney?
It is not. I'm not sure.
You can ask that question next week.
I don't think any of the 6 counties are at this point.
Yeah, I thought Al McKee was switching.
You're right.
Talked
I'm
about
sorry,
switching.
you're correct. Al McKee Tony is full-time.
And that switched within the last couple of years, 3 years maybe.
I think maybe 4 years. I mean, it was when he was elected, he came in as a full-time position. I'd forgotten about that.
That'd be very interesting conversation come to 6 county.
I don't see how Fayette, I looked at the docket for the judge for Fayette County and the amount of stuff that was on there. I thought, how in the world is that county attorney handling that stuff?
They have been a part-time position since Wayne Sauer took over when his father retired as county attorney. And Wayne did not want to be full-time. They probably have the caseload to support it, but
Wayne insists on keeping his private practice, and that's carried over now to Nathan. And I, honestly, I don't know if there'd be a domino effect if this one went full-time, if there'd be others that would consider it. I don't know, Howard's part-time yet. But no, I agree with you. I have taken conflict cases in Fayette and gone down there on their court service day, and it's a circus. I mean, it is busy. So if you do decide to move forward with this, keep the March one.
That's what I was just gonna ask
I
you.
mean, you probably want to make that decision sooner rather than later is what I'm saying.
Filing time for running in the primary is in March, which I passed out.
March 2nd is beginning, March 20th is the final.
Yes, I think the purpose, like I said, is so that people know what they're
filing for, right? Right. And you might have different people interested in running for the position, depending on if it's full-time or part-time. Someone who doesn't want to give up their private practice won't want to run if it's part-time, but someone who wants to focus solely that would maybe make their decision easier, so.
Sure.
Would you consider making a recommendation to us as to if what you feel is a little finer salary range, not necessarily today, but perhaps by email, to give us some kind of a feel?
Yeah,
with your expertise and not ours.
I would be happy to do that.
And you could maybe prepare the resolution and with that number to be filled in, and we can.
I may give you a range and you can pick a number.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly,
That sounds fair.
now I think the range I would give you would be between 100 and 120.
It depends on the candidate, of course.
But you won't know that. You have to do this first.
Whoever's elected on their experience.
No,
we have to set the price before the election.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Prior
It
to.
doesn't mean that you can't amend that after January 1st. If you,
Well, but as an elected official, they can only change it at fiscal year time, right? Yeah, so next year at this time, when you're doing the budget, someone may ask, why I'm only gonna keep this position if you raise it more or something, but I think whatever you put in there at this time is what it is now gonna be for 1 year, one fiscal year. Because you maybe don't have a comp board anymore, but you still, this board still functions under those rules and they set it for a year at a time.
Narrower.
and like I said, you have kind of a broad range here at 75 to
That's kind of what
165 or whatever, so.
I think it's not smaller ranges.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Shirley?
No, it helps to have the narrower.
Right. Yeah, there's, and I can get you, there's a salary survey that they do annually for county attorneys. I can send that out to you. It's got the full-time and part-time breakdowns, and I think you get an idea of what.
Yeah, ISAC does the salary survey, but to get it, you really need to look at it from a full-time versus part-time perspective to know.
Yeah, and I use the one from the County Attorneys Association because they do break it down that way.
Right, that's be better.
Colorado, here you come. Oh.
No, I don't, it's not right away.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, consent agenda?
I've got the minutes, the claims, and the reporters. Monthly report.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Committee reports.
I just want to go back to what I mentioned before. There are Luther students in the room today that are going to be observing us for the next 2 weeks, 2 more meetings. And I want to thank them for being here today. And if you ever have questions about our process up here, I think the chair would be happy to answer any questions you have. Just put your hand up if you wants to pause and explain what we're doing. So, but thank you for being here. So Mark and I were able to go and meet with them last Thursday, was it? And it was a room of about 25 or 30 of you. And the questions were asked were so good. We really enjoyed our time there. So thank you. What's the name of the class again?
Local politics and community engagement.
Yeah.
In the
J-term class. So thank you.
I was a state early childhood Iowa committee meeting, which they discussed a situation with our director that was resigning and the position there. It's really, it's kind of weird because early childhood Iowa doesn't even know what they're doing, but yet they're trying to hold us accountable on the Hawk side of it in DCAT. So it's just round and round it went really, and things are still up in the air. We have a meeting before our monthly Hawk meeting. We have a meeting coming up probably next Monday to discuss that position and try to get it filled. Because if we don't fill it, probably the whole Hawk area here would just get absorbed into a larger area, which has not been beneficial for anybody on a local level with that. But I think it's ironic that ECI, who of course HHS is, none of it is finalized and organized. They don't know if they're going with regions or districts or redistricting, or if you want to stay out of it or in it. It's just total disarray if you ask me. Thanks, guys. So that was rather disheartening. It was a 3.5 hour meeting, so on several topics, but it's that. I did go to the city council meeting in Decorah here last Monday and about the 2080 agreement for the recycling. It was very favorable. Council wasn't 100%, and I think the place we have, everyone is in agreement. It's really going to be a positive move, although it be temporary, it might be permanent, but I think it leaves both parties the chance to make changes.
Going to remind everybody where that is.
And it will be down behind the Army Reserve Center up against the dike. What was surrendered to the city was actually, it's already fenced in. It's a small lot, gravel lot, have a gate and everything. So it really could, it's pretty optimal for the most part. It's just going to take education to direct people 2 blocks away. And it will be less of a, people have said it's an eyesore. It won't be as visible from Water Street. So should be a real positive thing. We're gonna have it on the agenda next week. So it was kind of a last minute thing that we didn't get it to the city until the day of the meeting, and then they saw it and then had to go through the approval. So anyway.
Yeah, it was much needed because we were close.
I just want to make sure that did Ben have the vacations that were signed.
I have those.
Do you have those?
I'll get them to you.
Okay, I just want to make sure that those.
Yep.
I need to reprint those or what?
Nope, I haven't.
I just wanted to do that public. Thank you.
Thanks. Motion.
Boy, I have a couple of miscellaneous budgets quick.
Do you have something else?
No, that was.
And I will just say that I had that meeting with you guys. Want to know when you with Wellington on Thursday? If you want to know anything on that subject, just give me a call and I'll be happy to talk.
It's not something you can share here.
No.
Oh, okay.
Then
we should.
That's why
we'll have a closed session.
We're gonna have the closed session, but if you want to know something before that, you're more than welcome to give me a jingle.
I just have 2. I emailed these out. They're pretty straightforward. On the sheriff's budget, he asked for a change from what the one presented about a month ago or earlier this month, or whatever that was. In uniforms, apparel and uniforms line, asking for a little bit of money in that line. So that was a change. And then that's 05 sheriffs. I just printed the 1 page because his budget is like 14 pages, and this was just a one-line change from what he asked earlier. And then the one that says 74, Winneshiek County Development, we don't manage any of what they spend or their budget or all the money outside of their payroll. They're actually, so Stephanie Fromm and Maddie are paid as Winneshiek County employees, but then they just write us a check for those payroll costs. So the total costs in that department are always equal expense and revenue. So it's a pass through, but that's what that is.
How many employees are on that list that are similar to?
So we do, like, who do we do pass through payroll for? So the landfill, we do pass through payroll there, that they pass their own budget and their employees get paid through Winneshiek County, then we just bill them for all the costs associated. And we don't get anything for our time or that kind of thing, but we get the salary, IPers, health insurance, all that money from the landfill employees. And then technically the assessor's office employees are they work the same way. Almost all assessors in Iowa go through the county, but there are assessors that have do their own payroll too. They pass their own budget, set their own salaries, and then they get passed through with the county. So we have those three departments that we pass through.
It was discussed down at, I think the last ISAC meeting where a number of counties are charging back the office space within the courthouse to that levying authority of the
assessor.
And we do not do that. So that's something something else we absorb.
We could potentially do is charge them for office space, yeah. So.
Yeah, the assessors meeting is 22nd at 6 o'clock.
Right now, the assessor budget, some of the other smaller entities like the hospital and the soil or the soil water conservation, kind of thing, the ag extension, some of those that levy property tax don't have the same restrictions we do, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do after this year's legislative session. I mean, the legislation, that House File 718 that went into place for counties 3.5 years ago, where it was for counties and cities only, but I think whatever they passed to replace that, which I'm almost, can be 99% sure they're going to pass something to replace it, because that had a 5-year sunset on it. So they're planning to replace that with something either this legislative session or next. And whatever they decide to do, I think will extend beyond just cities and counties. They'll go to all of the budget authorities when they do that, likely.
I hope they all read it
Yeah, that's right.
this time around.
It would be, sharing alike would be nice. And I wish they did all taxing authorities, which include schools.
Schools weren't affected by House File 718, but that's primarily because they're regulated through their other process of whatever they call that, setting the school financial aid parameters, but the state sets their total limit each year, how much their allowable growth factor is each year. So they're already are restricted and have been restricted for years through that other process. So.
But not looked at the same level.
No, they aren't. They don't get the same, what their allowable growth isn't necessarily tied to the same things ours limits were. So
there's no constraint on spending per se. They get an automatic, basically it seems like they get an automatic increase.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. You call it then.
Motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Meeting is now adjourned.
I gave it to Shirley, she was louder.
Oh, that's usually the case. My mom used to tell the story that my teachers, that teacher conference is saying she really needs to speak up louder at school. We can't hear her. And my mom was like, are you talking about the same person that because they used to call me, hey, calling you man. Yeah, let me know this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm pretty flexible on today's
I am
time.
thinking it's not gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I'll be there, Mark will be there.
Tonight?
Yeah.
I am not gonna be at the assessors meeting on the 22nd. Can you guys all go? Because we have enough people there.
For what?
The assessors on the 22nd, I cannot do.
You're gonna be there. Oh, did you try the Italian restaurant in Ocean?
No, I have not yet.
There's a new one?
Oh, yes.
What's it called?
Heard nothing but
Luigi's. We were smart. Marta called ahead and got reservations for Friday night. They open on Wednesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So we're day 3. We opened, so we got it up to 6 o'clock.
They just opened like.
This last
Oh.
Wednesday.
Okay.
So we went on Friday, they reserved a table for us. It's a good thing we did. We walked in the door and that was the only table open in the house. It was full and it was packed and we didn't leave it till a little after 8. And it never, the sauce is good.
Really?
Yes.
right next to the old KC Hall. That it was Shooter's Bar.
Don't be confused because they still got the old sign up there.
Oh, yeah.
Shooters?
You know,
Well,
Shooters.
Shooters,
Well,
but
There wasn't,
Local was the last bar that was in there. They came from up by La Crescent somewhere.
Oh, they're not
Across.
from that area.
No.
That's awesome that they brought
No,
that business.
and
in.
it's not a pizza joint. It's an Italian restaurant.
I wonder if they were the one that were up in Rushford for a while.
They were also in Russia.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did
it's
eat there.
called,
Luigi's up there, wasn't it?
Well, it was the bridge or some.
It was really
Landon
good
Bridges
though.
was Landon Bridges or something.
It was really good if that's the same people.
They
Well,
had chicken piccata.
yeah, I had a lasagna and that sauce was different than Marta's spaghetti and meatballs and the homemade meatballs. Oof.
Now you're making me hungry.
Oh, I'm telling you.
They were even open yesterday. So I don't know
Sunday.
so I don't know what their whole hour schedule is gonna
To
be.
look them up
Monday,
online.
Tuesday off. I think that's what it is. But I'm telling you, that place was just packed with people standing. When we
Waiting.
left all day, that whole time we had dinner.
I have not heard any bad reviews.
No,
I'll say that.
no, and having an Italian restaurant down here, I don't know where the next Italian restaurant is. Unless you go all the way to Rochester.
But the same one
Rochester's
was
a
in,
good one.
the same one as Rushford.
They
It's a
did.
family, and it's a family all the way,
Yum.
servers and all, but it
We
was,
did a big pasta dish for Christmas. Eve for the
It's
first
not
time.
buffet, is it?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna ask, Mark, you can feel free if you like.
you might get served up some cement shoes. See
It's unknown. See
you guys later.
ya.
There were 2 pictures of Dominion playing in that library report.
We're there?
Yeah, we're down
know
here
that.
about them on.
I did not notice that. So I didn't want to take my eyes off them if they're wrong.
There's right here for playing Dominion. I'm even in that
Oh,
one.
you're in it.
Yeah,
That's fun.
then I noticed there was another one that just cards right there.
Oh, funny. Have
So we're-
attendance increased at that?
It's about the same. We're done here. Whoever, Fatima, if you want to close down the recording, there's only one.
Are they? I need to ask, are they